Hey folks, David Frost, mystrategicforecast.com. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Today is Monday, September 15, 2014. So you're looking at a daily chart of the SPY, and while the day finished basically flat, however, the S&P was down like a point and a half, okay? Not 1.5%, but 1.4 points. Okay, so that's flat. That's nothing. SPY was down 15 cents, but the market was down earlier, much more. And what was interesting was, and I want to show you a bunch of markets today because, well, in fact, first before we do, let's look at the 10-minute chart so you can see what I'm talking about. Here's Monday. Okay, we start down and then start to chop around and work our way back up in the afternoon session. But we were down pretty good. The overnight session, the S&P futures was down about 8 points, give or take, most of the night. And then in the morning it started to come back, and then we went down and back up today. So, but what's interesting is, here's what people hear on the 6 o'clock news. All right, let's take a look at the Dow. The Dow was up 43 points today. What people hear in the 6 o'clock news was Dow up 43 points. They think everything's great. Well, guess what? Look what happened. The Nasdaq, okay, here's the Nasdaq Composite. All right, Nasdaq Composite on a 10-minute chart. Actually, let's go over to the daily chart so you could see the bar. Okay, here it comes. Little slow charts today. All right, here we go. So look at his red bar. I mean, that's the Nasdaq Composite today. While it didn't finish on the low, it did finish down pretty good on the day. And, basically, this is a proxy for the underlying markets, right? It's not the Dow. The Dow is 30 stocks, and Philip Morris was up today, and IBM was up a little bit today, and a couple other stocks. So nobody owned that. Those are nonsense. Those aren't the momentum stocks that people care about, that people own, that people want to hear about. I'm going to show you those later. But what happened was Nasdaq got roasted, and also the IWM, or the Russell index, got toasted today too. Okay, so those are the leading indexes on the way up and on the way down, because that's the momentum money. All right, the small caps of the Russell. All right, that's small business across America, okay? And the Nasdaq is growth companies, small businesses growth, and Nasdaq is growth, technology growth, all that stuff. So biotech. So, those are the ones that the money's coming out of. Those were the high flyers. So those are the ones that led the market up, and now those are the ones leading the market down, and nobody even knows it yet. In fact, you know what? We'll go ahead and take a look at some of those stocks I'm talking about right now, because it's just interesting to see. Let's look at Netflix. All right, here's Netflix today. Daily chart of Netflix. Look at that roast job. Okay, Netflix got toasted for like, what was it? What was Netflix down to? $18. Netflix was down almost $19 today, okay? Let's look at another one. Tesla. How about down 24 bucks on Tesla, all right? How about LinkedIn? Big down day, all right? I mean, you're talking about stocks that everybody was buying with both hands on the way up. The market can never go down, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, folks? This is a tell. When these stocks begin to deflate, all right, everything comes next. So this is the tell. The market is telling you it's going to make a turn. Now, it's not just going to collapse, and it's not going to go straight down tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. You're going to have bounces along the way, and that leads me, well, let's look at a couple more, because I just want to show you. Mac Daddy of them all right now is a couple stocks, one being Facebook, okay, toasted today. Amazon. Look at Amazon over the last couple of days. Look at this. I mean, this stock was at $350 like early last week on the 5th of September. All right, now it's $318. All right, that's just a mauling. CRM. This is another high flyer, another fan favorite. All right, stock was 61.50 3 days ago, 57 today on the low, even below 57 on the low. Okay, that's a nice drop off. Now, these aren't finished, but there'll be bounces along the way, and this is options expiration week. So that leads me to the next item. What are the main topics for this week? Number one on your list is options expiration. So you're going to see stocks that were way up come way down, and that's what you're seeing now. And then you're going to see them reverse. So like Wednesday, for example, in the middle of the day, all of a sudden Tesla will be up like $15 out of nowhere. And that's the institutions playing games. They're trying to steal the money from the people that bought the options at the high, and now they're going to liquidate them at the low, and then they take the stock back up. It's just the people that bought puts on the way down, they're going to screw them later in the week. It just happens over and over and over again. And that's why you just need to be aware that all these rumors and stuff you hear this week, they're all nonsense. All the upgrades and the downgrades and the stock goes the other way. It's just all nonsense during options expiration week. So it's just something you need to be aware of. Item number two. You have the Fed meeting. So you have a meeting tomorrow and Wednesday. And then Wednesday, they're going to come out with an announcement or their press conference or whatever they do these days. And they're going to talk some nonsense. And the market's going to interpret it however they want to interpret it. And it's going to whip around. And whichever way it goes first, it's going to go the other way a couple minutes later. And usually we finish usually we finish Wednesday of the Fed announcement that day. Usually we finish up. We'll see what happens this week, but I think we went through the same routine last month, and I said the same thing, and I think we finished up, if my memory serves me right. So look for something similar. If the market's down tomorrow, maybe into Wednesday morning, and then all of a sudden you'll see it'll finish up on Wednesday after the Fed announcement. It's just so typical. It just happens over and over again. I'm not saying you play that. It's not a strategy. It's just something that tends to happen over and over again, so you take notice. It's options expiration week. I couldn't say that enough. So what that means is you get all this whipsaw action. And by the way, it's quadruple witching options expiration week. And what that means is everything under the sun expires. All the asset classes expire. All the baskets of stocks get rebalanced. All the indexes get rebalanced. So that's why you're seeing a lot of buying and selling. The volume will pick up this week, but it makes for good trading. But nevertheless, it can drive you wacky because every time you think something should be going one way, it goes the other way. And that's a function of this options expiration week. Then finally, to close out the week, on Friday, you'll have the Alibaba IPO. And so far, that looks to be going pretty well. From what I can tell, the demand for the Alibaba IPO is pretty good. They raised the price. They raised the offering size, which means they're offering more shares. And it looks pretty good. I think it's going to be a successful IPO. It's not going to be linked directly. You know, if the IPO fails miserably, then something's happening in the market. But I don't think it's going to fail. I think it's going to be okay, notwithstanding what the market's doing. And by the way, you're going to hear the blame placed on a lot of these stocks coming down that they're making room for the Alibaba IPO. I don't buy it. I don't think that's true. Nobody's getting so many shares of the Alibaba IPO that they have to liquidate all their positions. It just doesn't happen that way. You know, the biggest players on the planet will get, several $1 million of IPO, but that's it. That's it's not worth liquidating, LinkedIn and Amazon and Facebook and Tesla and all this stuff. They're liquidating because they're liquidating, not because somebody's making room in their portfolio for Alibaba, which they don't know how many shares they're going to get. And that's not happening that way. But that's what you'll hear all week long anyway. All right, I want to circle back to a couple of things and talk about gold and oil and stuff like that. So let's go over to the gold chart. And, I'm not sure gold has put in a bottom here. In fact, I don't think it has. I have a good number in gold. This is the gold chart itself, the gold futures chart. And here we have a low of, where was it the other day this is today. The low is 1225.81. This bar is the Globex overnight session. And basically, I'm going to bring up a longer-term chart, and I'm going to tell you where I think we're going. And I kind of had a discussion about this with some friends in the biz, see where they were at. I'm a little confused with gold right now, and I just wanted to gauge where some other people's mindset was. And here's what other people think, and I think the same thing. I think that this 1214, 1215, 1213 level is good for a short-term bounce, but this is me now. I don't personally, that's where a lot of people think it's going to bounce. And the reason I ask other people, and the reason I'm bringing this up to you, is because that's where people would put orders under the market. And so if I think there's orders under the market to support a number like 1214, 1213, 1215, I'm going to expect a bounce at that level. But if we don't show strength here relatively soon in gold, I think there's much lower prices ahead, and I think gold could deflate with the market. And forget about the fear trade where gold goes up when the market goes down. I think it can go down with the market this time. So we'll see how that plays out. I've got a no trade right now in gold. There's not anything definitive I want to do with gold. So we're going to leave that on the sidelines for now, and I'll keep you informed. And when the chart kind of resolves itself, then I'll let you guys know what I think. Oil's interesting. Oil's on a bounce, and I think it was last Thursday, maybe Wednesday, I told you guys that Dennis Gartman came on TV and said you had to be short oil, all this stuff. And you know what? I think he called a short the day it bottomed, and for now anyway. And so I think that was Thursday or I don't know, whatever it was. It bottomed either the day of or the following day, and I think I mentioned that in these videos. And then today gold bounced up. He came back on TV and said you had to be long. So I mean, he's chasing his own tail over there. But nevertheless, I think there's a bounce in oil, maybe for this is USO. Maybe for another 50 cents to maybe $1 on the outside in USO, but then I think there's much lower prices in oil. In fact, the price of oil itself right now is about 91 and change. The price of oil, I believe, is going to, the price of crude, the futures contract, I think is going to get down to about $85. And when it gets down to $85, I think you can buy it with both hands for a while. But until that point, unless I see a pattern, a definitive pattern that says buy it, we're going to leave it alone. And with that said, I think we're going to leave it alone tonight. I gave you a lot of information. Just be careful this week. But the market's starting to resolve itself. It's telling us what to do. You can see that. And we'll just keep going one day at a time. And the members are getting their trades, one at a time. But this week's going to probably be a little slow because of options expiration. But following week should be good. Anyway, I'm David Frost, mystrategicforecast.com. This was another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Thanks for tuning in, folks.